gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. He is the founder and CEO of Lansdowne Equity Ventures, and he developed the largest retail furniture and appliance store in Calgary, and he's also the chancellor of Junior Achievement Worldwide. We are sitting down with the one and only Brian Sidorsky. How are you doing, my friend?
Great. Good morning from Calgary. We're doing on a nice rainy morning here in Calgary. We're doing awesome. How about you guys?
We are living the dream. We are living the dream. So we were lucky enough to meet you, and this is just a testament to events, meetups, networking, personal development events. We got to meet you in person at a meetup in Boston with David Meltzer. And this was, I don't know, at this point, maybe like a year and a half ago. And Alan and I were talking about helping the education system more. How can we do that? And we remembered you, and that is such a huge part of your goal, your mission, your passion, your purpose. So can you tell us a little bit about who Brian is today? And then we'll dive into how you became the man you are today.
Okay. Well, today I'm 75 years old. As of March 15th, I was going to celebrate my 75th birthday by taking my family up to the Banff Springs Hotel. It's in the mountains. Just I think everybody's familiar with our famous Rocky Mountains and the fabulous Banff. We have the Fairmont Hotel up there, and we were going to celebrate, but with COVID-19 hitting us, all our plans, and then we were going to go back down to California. We have a home there and have a big 75th birthday bash. So having not done that, and we've been hibernating for the last 6 weeks. And we've been, I guess today, I've been at home every day working with my team of my business team. And we're in the commercial real estate business, and we're dealing with the fallout of a lot of our customers, a lot of our clients are losing their businesses. So our number one purpose today is to keep all our clients and all our customers all our tenants in business. So I've been doing a little bit of teaching and coaching and realigning and forgiving or rearranging rents and payment schedules. And I'm just going to find a less noisy place in the house here. So yeah, we're in a situation in all my life. I've been through fires, I've been through floods, I've been through a lot of adversity and overcoming it. And we've always gotten through it. We in 2013, I have a major subdivision, and we got completely flooded out. But we recovered, and we were the first ones to recover because with every adversity lies a seed of equal or greater benefit. And we ended up doing a lot more business after the flood than even before the flood. So with every opportunity, with every crisis, with every disaster, every adversity lies a seed of equal or greater benefit. That's Napoleon Hill quote. But it's so true, but you have to just talk about that for a moment. It's the seed. The seed still needs to be planted. It still needs to have sunshine. It still has to have nutrients. It still has to be nurtured, and it still has to be growing, have sunshine and water. But you can regrow bigger and better, and you learn more from that adversity by overcoming it, and you'll be stronger as well. So,
from your point, Brian, what's the difference between somebody who uses their adversity as their advantage and then maybe somebody who uses their adversity as an excuse or a circumstance? Like, what makes the difference in people that really grow from that?
Well, it's not over unless you quit. So if you never quit, if you face the adversity and just expect it and not be caught up in it, you got two choices. You can hate it or love it. You can embrace the adversity and confront it and you can deconstruct it and find ways to overcome it and make stairs and elevators out of pulleys and ladders to overcome that adversity. So you can really analyze that adversity. What did I do wrong, or what did the universe do wrong? Gee, how did I expect to wake up one morning and find out that my cash flow had evaporated, and that every tenant we had, our health clubs, our restaurants, our retail furniture stores, everybody but Costco and Walmart, most of 80% of the businesses are closed, and our cash flow just shut right down, and our tenants really out of business. Who would expect that adversity, But say, well, why aren't you worried about it? Because I got full confidence that we have to confront it. We have to analyze what are we going to do. We're going to protect ourselves the best we can, doing everything we possibly can do right now, and just have to give it enough time and not lose this time right now, because with our businesses shut down, the restaurants can be repainting and they can be rearranging the tables and working on new menus. They can be doing a lot of other things right now, using this time very productively to renovate or to come up with a new business plan, new business structure. But business is going to be completely different than it ever was before. We are into absolute new territory that we've never seen before. But the only thing you have to do is you've got to be a leader, and you've got to say certainty. I'm certain that we will get out of it. The only certainty, and I think if we can just keep being positive and keeping a positive mental attitude and just doing whatever you think you can that's right each day, taking one day at a time, you will all get through this. It's pretty just going forward with showing certainty and leadership. And if everybody expects that, then pretty soon what we can conceive and believe we will achieve, things will be a lot better in a few months after this is over.
And you've seen that time and time again. I mean, you're 75 years old, so you've seen how adversity has become your advantage over time, because it's easy to connect those dots looking back. One of the things I wanted to ask you, when we first met you, I remember asking you, what is your favorite book and why? And I remember you mentioning Think and Grow Rich, but you also mentioned a book by Brian Tracy called Maximum Achievement. Can you describe to our listeners why you believe that book by Brian Tracy is so valuable, and what's the main takeaway?
Okay, well, that's, Brian Tracy and I have become very good friends. When I first met Brian, I wanted to enroll him after I was introduced to some of his work as a chancellor for junior achievement. And first thing Brian said, before you ask me any question or ask me anything, or you need anything, the answer is yes. I've never had a request be answered yes before I asked the question. And Brian was kind enough to donate all his work, his books, his tapes, his time, his energy to junior achievement, and become a chief chancellor for us in junior worldwide. And but after reading Think and Grow Rich, and after reading Brian Tracy's, I understand that the whole fundamental philosophy of whatever the mind can conceive and believe can achieve, underlying the 17 basic fundamental principles that Napoleon Hill had underlined and had learned from Dale Carnegie. Or Andrew Carnegie, I said Dale Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie. Brian has taken and he's put into a book that you can get 200 years of learning in 6 hours of reading, and the word of learning and earning are so close. So if I had to spend some 200 hours with your listeners right now saying, how can I teach you in a simple broadcast? What can I do? Well, I can't do your push-ups and I can't do your homework for you, but I will say Brian Tracy's done a lot of the work and the understanding, because he's taken and transformed and updated the work. He's just put it in and translated it into a very understandable language. So as far as I'm concerned, Think and Grow Rich is the master pillar that everybody has to read. Brian Tracy's enhanced that even further by taking it and putting it in a more understandable, easier to read form, or easier to understand form. But both, if I'm giving anybody any advice, if I'm leaving the universe right now and I'm not coming back, and I say, Brian, what's the treasure map to success? What should we do? So, well, if you read Think and Grow Rich and then read Brian Tracy's book, Maximum Achievement. And that would be the last advice I would give you, because that would give you the basic philosophy and a starting place. So once you've learned the alphabet, you can now learn to read. You can now read any book. Once you've got the keys, once you know how to read and write, you can read and write anything.
So Brian, we talked a little bit in the preamble, and I'd love to get your take on the power of choice. So you decided to be successful. You decided to achieve the things that you have in your life. Can you walk us through, what does that mean to you, the power of choice, in terms of internal and external? Like, you're choosing your thoughts, right? Can you walk us through the power of choice and what it means to you?
Well, I think for the longest time, I grew up thinking that everybody was doing it to me. My teachers, my parents, my brothers, my sisters. everybody that I didn't have a lot of choice, and that when I realized after reading Wayne Dyer's book, Erroneous Zones, that if I choose my thoughts, I choose my feelings, and I can control my life, that gave me a huge power to move forward with now. And it is the same thought of whatever I can conceive. So whatever I choose to conceive, and then I can, choosing to conceive it is only the first step, is seeing it and saying it and doing it. The being it and the doing it and the havingness are all connected. And when I realized that nobody can make me mad, when I got cut off in traffic and I can give a guy a shaking fist or say, yeah, well, you did it to me, and stay mad or fight with my father or my brother or one of my siblings, I'd stay mad at them for hours. I realized that I have the power to choose my thoughts and choose my feelings. And when I realized that, it gave me the power to do almost anything that I wanted to. And if you could get that part of how powerful, but the other thing is, a lot of what you think are your choices are not your choices. Well, I guess you could say indirectly, if you go a little deeper into, did I choose to be born? Well, that's a whole different subject, but obviously I must have been. I didn't ask to be here. Well, if you had to ask, the answer would have been no.
Brian, so one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is about, you mentioned that you read Erroneous Zones. I'll never forget when Kevin first started getting into personal development and reading books, he asked me, like, what do you believe is the best book for me right now? And I remember telling him your Erroneous Zones, the audiobook, was the answer. And then he was like, oh my God, that, like, choosing in advance how you want to feel, how you want to think, how you want to be, and not letting the external world. Did we lose you, Brian?
Yeah, can you still hear me?
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
I can still hear you. We can't see you anymore, though.
I lost you here. I hit something. Let me see if we get this camera back here.
Sounds good. There you go. There you are. All right, so I'll just start the question from the top.
Yeah.
So I remember when Kevin and I were early in our journey, and I had been into reading books for many more years. And I've read your Erroneous Zones. You and I talked on the phone, yesterday about I Can See Clearly Now, many of Wayne Dyer's books. And I think Wayne Dyer is a spiritual master of mastering the internal world. And then I think a lot of the other books, like Brian Tracy's books and stuff like that, is how to master the internal and the external world. But I remember recommending to Kevin a book, Your Erroneous Zones. And when he asked me what book should I read, that was the one I chose. For you, when did you read that book? Like, how old were you? Because right now you're 75 and you're way farther along on the compound effect of good thoughts, good actions, good habits, good choices, good decisions. And of course, some bad ones too, obviously. But I want to give the listeners a framework of, like, I think your trajectory is so much more important than your current results, because if you only base your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions based on what is now, you'll never create that vision. You'll never create that brighter future. So for you, when did you read Erroneous Zones? When did you first read Think and Grow Rich? When did you first, read Maximum Achievement? And then how many years did it take you to really manifest your dreams?
Well, say seeing it and saying it and doing it, even reading it, reading is only the very, very first step of understanding. I've come up with a word, I was going to write, metabolizing success, is after you read Think and Grow Rich, it's not just good enough to read it. It's really more important. It's like reading the book on how to golf. If I read the book on golfing, will I learn how to golf? The answer is no. You've read the book on how to golf, but it's not going to be, you haven't actualized it. You haven't metabolized it. You haven't put it into use. So it takes a long time to read the book, like David Ledbetter's book. He's one of the world's best golfing coaches. He's not the world's best golfer, but he's the best golfing coach. But I read Ledbetter, I go hit the ball, and then I can see what I'm doing wrong. But I still need that expertise. I still need the master to tell me I've got to hold my left arm straighter or keep, my legs further advanced or my heel up or down. I still need that detail and that coaching, because it takes a while to implement the teaching and to become good at golfing or good at anything, good at thinking. requires practice. And so reading the book on knowing what to do and actually doing it are two different things. There's 5 frogs sitting on the lily pad. One of them decides to jump off. How many are left? We'll say, well, there's 4. So, well, no, there's not 4. There's still 5. He only decided to jump off. He really didn't jump. So a lot of people can read the book and think, gee, I got it. He's read the book and nothing happened. No, you got to read the book, and then you got to go and apply it and find opportunity to experience. The experiential learning, junior achievement operates under learn by doing, experiential learning. So once you understand that, oh, gee, I just have to wave at the guy after he cuts me off in traffic and almost runs me off the road. What do I do? Does that adrenaline rush hit me? Because that's obviously almost scared the daylights out of me, and my cortisol levels and my adrenaline levels impacted. And I now got signals in my brain that, oh, now it's fight or flight, and I've got a bunch of chemicals going on. Now I can now make new choices. But when you realize those chemicals hitting your brain, sending you new thoughts to shake your fist at this guy, and I'm going to teach him a lesson, and I'm going to do some revenge or fear or anxiety, you use that opportunity now to stop, look, and choose again your response. And getting the mastery of that takes a while. And somebody will still make you mad. Your mother or your brother still knows how to push those buttons. I've still got my younger brother. He can push my buttons after 75 years. The only one that can make me mad is, well, not really. No, it's a matter of choice. But even being aware of the fact that I've got a brother that can push my buttons, I still get the chemical old signals, and you have to override those signals. And then it's just like riding a bike or learning to drive the car. Pretty soon it becomes automatic.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I want to talk about goal setting with you, because I think you seem like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you seem like somebody who has a lot of belief in themselves. What advice would you give to somebody who is younger? They're getting on this path and they're struggling to believe in themselves. Like, you don't become a billionaire by accident. So at some point in your journey, you must have said, you know what, I'm going to become a billionaire. What advice?
No, I did not. I didn't say that for many, many years until we kept. I wanted to have. I started off with my goals is I wanted to have my own furniture store. When I was 20 years old, I had my own furniture store. I bought and sold used furniture for my father. I charged him 5% for everything I bought, used furniture, at 5% for everything I sold. And over the course of, from the time I was 18, 19, and 20, I saved up about $3,000. And there was a small store that we rented, and I handed my father a check for the $3,000 that I had accumulated in my bank account, and I bought the furniture that was in the store, and I started my own business when I was 20. And from there, 3 years later, I had an opportunity to buy a way much bigger building. I had a huge opportunity that it was way beyond my ability, but somehow the law of attraction kicked in. I met a wonderful gentleman who had no real children in his life, and he was 80 in his 80s. He had this very large lumber store, a hardware store building. It was a big lumber rack, and I walked in looking for some warehouse space and ended up buying the building from him. And he gave me the biggest credit terms to buy the building, and gave me the biggest opportunity that I was able to take advantage of, and turn that into the largest retail furniture and appliance store in Calgary. But from moving up my goals and dreams, after I realized I climbed that part of the mountain, moving the goal and dream up a notch, after breaking 120 in golf, I wanted to break 110. So after 110, I would 100. After that, you ask any golfer, he always wants to shoot a lower score. I always got to be raising your target and your sights a little higher. But no, I wanted to have the largest retail furniture and appliance store in Calgary, and I had achieved that by the time I was 35 years old, and that was my goal. So today I very specifically have set some very, very precise financial goals and a business plan accompany to them. But if you don't know what you want, you have no chance of getting it. So I do encourage everybody to set down a realizable goal that your subconscious will believe. It's got to be a believable goal, because you make as I want $10 billion. Your subconscious won't believe that. But say I want to, if I'm doing $10,000 a month in sales and I want to do $20,000 a month in sales, what would I have to do? I'd have to make twice as many calls. I'd have to close twice as many orders. Can I see it? Can I conceive whatever I can conceive? Okay, so the see and the conceive. And I can believe, yes, I can do that. I can climb that mountain. I can make those sales. I can make that extra effort. I can. Then I will achieve. It will come into act. It will actualize. It will become real. And that's setting goals is paramount. But knowing what you want. Let's go back and talk about that for just a moment. It's really, really important for anybody to achieve anything is to know what you want. You walk into a restaurant. And first off, you've chosen the restaurant, and then you look at the menu, and then you're looking at the menu. People don't look at the menu of life, what's available. I've traveled all over the world now, and I've been in several countries, probably more than 50 countries. And realizing Korea, China, Japan, just looking at different parts of the world and the different cultures and the different business practices and the different products, goods, or services that are available. There's literally millions of choices of what you can do, what product, goods, or services you need to create. And look right around you. You just have to pick any of those that you really want to do, and why you want to do it. So if you end up wanting something, the biggest understanding of what is it you want and why do you want it. So I think it was Simon. What was the author?
Simon Sinek.
Sinek talked about why. The why is really important. And Satish Varma from Think and Grow Rich Foundation talks about having a big enough why to make the what work. And if your why isn't big enough, why you're doing something, it doesn't matter what you want. If you don't want it bad enough and why you want it bad enough, yeah, it probably won't happen. But all that goal setting and knowing what you want, looking at the menu of life, all very, very important stuff to do.
Brian, so there's so many questions that I want to ask you. One is about what you believe achievement is, because you've been an achiever your whole life. I consider myself an achiever. And what is an achiever? An achiever is someone who sets in advance what they want, and then they figure out how to go and achieve it. And it's not just for them, it's for others. It's at the service of others. It's a good thing. So at the tail end of achievement, start with the end in mind. Again, you're 75 years old, so I love picking your brain. What do you believe? I am not convinced that most people understand why achievement is so important. Because if you don't set goals, if you don't care enough, there's that great quote, if you don't want much, you don't have to become much. So my question for you is, setting goals is not to get the goal. Like, you have specific financial goals right now. It's not necessarily just because you want more money. It's because of what you must become. It's because of the learning process. It's because of the journey you'll have to embark upon. It's because of who you'll meet. It's because of the lifestyle around it. So from your perspective, why should someone become, for lack of better phrasing, obsessed with achievement? Or passionate, at least passionate about achievement?
Well, getting what you want, most people want a lot of the wrong things in life. And in my opinion, I don't want to judge for other people what their choices are, because we all have free choice. A lot of people don't realize they have the free choice. A lot of people want fame and fortune. Say, well, why do I want the fame? I want people to recognize me. I want people to love me. Why? Why do you want that? So yeah, go a little deeper. Why do you want people to, why do you want to be a movie star? Oh, because movie stars get everybody to love them. So, well, why do you need everybody to love you? So I say, well, who's asking that question? Of course, everybody wants everybody to love you. The most important guy that I need to love is Brian Sidorsky. That's the guy that is myself. And right. I didn't love me for a long, long time. Brian Tracy teaches, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I like myself. When you can love yourself because you like yourself, because you understand what there is to like, when you understand who you are and why you are the way you are, either you're a byproduct of your father or an antithesis of your father and mother or your grandparents or somebody. Either you want to be like them or want to be not like them, but you pick and choose who you are. That's really important. It took me a long time to overcome my gravitational parenting and become self-actualized, to make those choices that I can become and create myself for the things that I choose and the qualities that I admire in other people. I can put them in my lifestyle. If it's keeping my time and keeping my agreements and keep giving better value and going the extra mile and doing more than I'm paid to do, and being friendly and being not sarcastic and being supportive, all those things are really important in creating relationships which really invokes the law of attraction. What invokes the law of attraction? People. What is it that people want from you? They want to be around you because they want to learn from you. They want what you have. And what have you got? You've got clear thinking, and that you don't have to be. You can really achieve and bring the things that you want easier and faster than everybody else, because you can see them clearer than everybody else.
Brian, how do you figure out? So we talked a little bit before that about goal setting and figure out what do you want out of life and what do you have to do to get there. How do you figure out where you are right now? I always ask my clients, where have you been? Where are you right now? And where are you going?
Well, that's really, we talked about that briefly yesterday, about walking into a shopping center and looking at the big map of the shopping center and saying, there's no place to tell you where you are now. It all starts with where you are now. So realizing you're in Canada or the United States, you speak English, you have your religion, you have your belief systems, you've got your associations, you've got your parenting, your brothers, your sisters, looking at all your existing belief systems. I was fortunate enough when I was 35 to do a large group awareness training. There's several of them out there. They all got a bum rap because it was pop psychology, and not everybody really was ready for it. So for me, it was transformational. Finding out who I was after I looked at and examined all my current belief systems of who I am and where I am and how I got here already was really, really important, because once I found out who I was, I understood who everybody else was. And by knowing everybody else, I could communicate, knowing what they needed and wanted. I could arrange my communication so that I got what I wanted by helping other people get what they wanted. And that's really critically important.
What are the boundaries to getting to know yourself better? Is there ego? Is there, becoming more humble? Like, what were there any boundaries for you, or was it just the knowledge and then you just starting to practice it?
No, I'm not an advocate of large group awareness trainings anymore, although it created such huge value for me, and I'm not going to recommend any that people, but there are several. I'm not even going to name them. But when you can sit down and you can have somebody like a golf coach or somebody standing a mirror before you and can sit down, and a best friend or an uncle or a relative or somebody that knows and loves and trusts you, that in a very safe place, and almost your own personal 360 intervention. Some of the good coaching practices, Dr. Goldsmith has one of the best coaching teams in the world, and he does a 360. This is where you get your feedback from everybody that you're in relationship with, and they give you feedback to what you could be doing and what you could or should be doing. And I will recommend What Got You Here Won't Get You There book, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith's book. Incredible good book. But getting the feedback from honest, open feedback. Most people won't tell you when you got a piece of spinach on your tooth. Never mind tell you that it's not creating eye contact with your customer, or and today not shaking their hand and putting your other hand over top their hand, and exemplifying that warmth and that affection and that trust is so important. What can I say? Where were you? Just to answer your question, just repeat what your essence of that question was again. So
how do you become aware of where you are? Maybe it's in terms of the journey, maybe it's in terms of your confidence level, and you did answer it by saying get feedback, whether it's from other people or diving deep into your internal self to figure that out.
Yeah, well, it begs the question now. Then, if you go back and say, what did I learn from large group awareness, and let's say large group awareness trainings? It's like if you sat down in an Alcoholics Anonymous, which really are a group of 10 people, you talk and you listen and you see yourself in others, and getting that open, honest feedback of your thinking process, and getting your clarity to your thinking. But the large group awareness, you become aware of your behavior. For so long, I would run a racket, as I guess they call it, is I would be so successful and so good, and everything was just so great, and it came so easy. I said, this is just too really good, and I would do something to sabotage it, either raise our prices too high, or stop advertising, or find it just taking people for granted, or not giving people the right reward, or doing some stupid thing, or fighting with a supplier, or because they were overcharging, or just making a mistake. And then the success that I was feeling went roller coastering down into destruct. And then I thought, what did we do wrong? And for the longest time, it was construct, destruct, construct, destruct. And realized after a while, learning to take my hand off the destruct button and knowing the symptoms of when life was getting too good and I shouldn't be deserving of this, I would do something to put it, to deconstruct it. Because maybe I'd paint myself into a corner and fight my way out for the longest time, realizing that I didn't need to do that to be successful.
Right. Brian, so one of the things, you and I were on the phone yesterday morning, and thank you so much for that time. You mentioned, it's interesting because a lot of our listeners are young, but earlier you were talking about how David Meltzer is now Chief Chancellor at Junior Achievement, and you said Dave's an energetic young guy. And I just want to bring to the table for all of our listeners, like I don't know who it was yesterday, one of my clients yesterday, I said I was on the phone earlier today with Brian Sidorsky, and at 75 years old, he's more excited for the future than some of my 30-year-old friends. And I said that makes me sad, because some of my 30-year-old friends feel like they're old, and yet you're still setting goals, trying to do different things, helping other businesses, talking to us, on a Friday morning. Like, you're doing more to be of service than some of my friends that are 30. And I'm not picking on anyone, but it does sadden me, because if you want a deeply meaningful, fulfilling life, you need to understand that, like, it's a journey, and achievement is a good, beautiful thing. So my question for you is, how can we help younger people get perspective? You were 35 once, you were 25 once, you were 45 once. What would you tell your younger self about being 75, and what can you enlighten us with that wisdom?
You should get some new friends. You are the average of the 5 people that you most hang around with. If you look at my social circle, they're all financially independent people. They've all been married. I've been married for 52 years coming this year.
Congratulations.
I've got 9 spectacular, wonderful grandchildren. They're all talented and educated. My kids are amazing parents. I've got an amazing wife who's responsible for all of that. She was a teacher when we lived off first salary when we first started out in business. But either you are the average of your 5 people that you hang out with. If the 35-year-olds that you're hanging out with don't have dreams and goals and aspirations, then find the ones that do. Most of my friends still are in their. I have younger friends. I have a lot of younger friends, and I have a lot of older friends. But when I was 20 years old, I had my own furniture store. Most of my really good mentors have passed away, because when I was 20 and 30, the people I was doing business with, the Admirals and the Zenith television companies and the Frigidaires and all the representatives and all the furniture people and all the people who were doing business were in their 40s and 50s. Now they're all passed away now, because they're not many people live to be 95 or 100, or certainly not being mentally active once you're past 90. So effectively, and I've had some great mentors, and really, really important that to share with your listeners is that they really need to learn and never stop learning. And they've got to find themselves some really, really great mentors and some really good friends that really, you want to take away the people that are negative and the people that are saying can't. You want to change those friends to I cans, to the I can'ts into the I can. And you want to be able to almost have your own mastermind group of friends that you promote and help each other and share your dreams and your goals with them. And have written goals. Have your standard operating procedure manual of success of not only what you want and how much that amounts to. If it's $1 million if you want $1 billion by March 15th, 2020 at 4:59 p.m., that's a written exact goal that you want to have and what you do it and what you're willing to trade to get it. I'm willing to trade. I'll work 14 hours a day. I'll work extra hours in the evening. I will make more phone calls. I'll make more. I'll stay in the office, or I'll stay at the factory, or I'll do what I have to do to achieve those milestone goals that will all contribute to my ultimate goal and success. You've got to plan on. If you're going to climb Mount Everest, you're going to have to know that you're going to have to go up, and then you're going to have to go back down. You're going to have to acclimatize. You're going to have to reach that plateau. Then you're going to go back down again. You got to plan in advance for and expect the unexpected, expect the adversity, and say what, and have the doomsday plan. We when this COVID virus hit, I phoned up, I talked to my CFO. I said, I want the doomsday plan, the new revised doomsday plan. How bad can it get? I said, well, if cash flow goes to zero, can we still meet all our obligations? And said, yeah, I'll get back to you in a day or two, all the calculations. Yeah, we can still manage. We can close the doors to those compartments, and we can store those cash flows. We have the cash flow coming in from the banks. We have some banks as our tenants. They're going to continue to pay rent. We'll have 25%. Can we operate on fly on one engine? Yeah, we still can. We've got that doomsday plan. Okay. And then can we take advantage of opportunities? And we still have our reserves that we can take advantage of opportunities for new real estate that people are going to be going bankrupt, and there will be real estate and businesses coming back on the market that will be amazingly good deals. And the stock market will have some amazing, are we still in shape to still follow through with our acquisition plans? Yes, we have, and we should. Are we going to still build that one building in the shopping center? Probably we will put that building on hold. So we modified our plans somewhat, but we had our doomsday plan. What can go wrong? But then we look at our what worst case scenario, and then having that as a ground as your safety net, saying that's as worst it's going to get. Then we can go forward and say, now we still have to go forward with overcoming that adversity and knowing that you can. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. We got a few minutes left here. I just wanted to hammer one more question. So you said the importance of mentors and your surroundings. How does somebody get a mentor like Brian Sidorsky? What do you look for in a mentee?
I like calling them my tormentees. They're because they don't sometimes like what I like to have to tell them, and sometimes it's foreign. And having a good mentor is going to challenge you, and finding that mentor. And you can have more than one. You can have more than one. You can have a lot of people can be. My biggest critic and mentor probably is my wife, and my own mastermind group is. You can have a mastermind group of one or more people, but what do I look for? That's your question of what do I look for in a mentee and a mentor?
In a mentee.
Oh, to the people that I want to coach. Oh,
yes.
I love the youth and the enthusiasm and the energy and someone that has an undying passion to learn. And I get a great deal. The only pay that I get is the adrenaline rush of seeing my mentee do real well. I have a young man I've been coaching now for some time in Palm Springs, and he's become the #1 largest seller of luxury homes in Palm Springs. And he's an amazing young man. I've known him I met him when he was doing some work at the Allenberg estate. He was a guide there, and he was just he's taken the pleasing personality aspect that Think and Grow Rich talks about, and he's taken that to an all-time new level. He goes out of his way to genuinely, enthusiastically wants to be in service to everybody he meets. What can he help you with, and what can he help you get what you want? And he's just an inspiration to everybody that meets him. I've introduced him to my friends. They've all bought product from him, houses from him. If he needs a favor, he needs somebody to go in and turn a tap off, or they trust him with his keys and codes. And he's become, for our Canadian group of snowbirds, he's become an amazing resource. and he's like an adopted son, effectively. But he's made a whole life out of going the extra mile. If there's one thing that you want to do, is you do a lot more than people expect of you, or think about what you're capable of, and constantly surprise people what you are capable of, and do it enthusiastically.
The quote that I write down most often, every day I do a flashcard with my critical numbers, the listeners know this, the quote I write down most often, because I always have a quote I want to live by each day, is demand more from yourself than anyone could possibly expect of you. So that's powerful. Thank you so much for this, Brian. Kev, are we out of time?
We are out of time, Brian. I just want to make sure you get a chance to plug anything, Junior Achievement, any books, anything that you want to impart wisdom on the listeners with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was thinking about, there's nothing I need or want other than to make the world a better place and get rid of this COVID-19 and get the success of for my businesses. If anybody's got any suggestions on how a lot of our small restaurants and health clubs can get back in the business easier, that would be awesome. The two books I will recommend, well, number one, Sharon Lecter's book, Think and Grow Rich for Women. We talked about that before. I'll give you one more last picture of that, if you can see it.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And
hold it right on up. Thank you.
All right. So you got that one. And then this is the book that, if you want to read, Sharon Lecter and Greg Reed wrote this one. I'm in page 45, I think, for about 15 pages on overcoming adversity, success and something greater, your magic key. And this is authorized by the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Think and Grow Rich. And it's an interview I did about 4 years ago, and they turned it into a book, and it's selling very, very well at the bookstore. So there's a book there. And then the last book I'll recommend is, and a lot of my friends are in this book because I introduced them to Greg, and a lot of my friends are very well-to-do people. Wealth Made Easy, and there are some real life stories in there, and give you some clue. But if it's the one last thought is, I guess is whatever your mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve whatever you really want. But write down those goals and work on them every day. And if anybody has any questions that they want to forward through from this conversation, I'm happy to answer any questions through you guys. And hopefully this has been a benefit to somebody listening. And enjoy the day. That's all I can say.
It has absolutely been a benefit, not only to those listening, but to Alan and myself. We are lucky that we get mini mentor sessions every time we get to interview somebody like you, Brian. So thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Okay, guys. Have a good day. Take care.
Brian, thank you so much. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.